Well, I kind of it's all I go
So did you all have fun?
Yes.
No, I really, not at all.
I forget what I said besides
He's quite the laugher.
I said, especially when I get.
I have to post my photos. I have a long, like a 2-minute video.
Somewhere on Hilton.
Oh,
It's,
I have a 2-minute video of June.
You see that?
Yes.
Yeah, do you know, last night that night was, this reminds me of Dr. Brown in Back to the Future, we watched Back to the Future.
Oh, perfect follow-up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of it, yeah.
So do you know where the Lucky Rooster is? Okay. Do you know where, you know where the Presbyterian Church is? Near that. Right here. Okay. I'm not bad. Well, you did, but you doubled back. You can go
Don't touch. That's right.
Life is hard.
Life is so
And then you die.
right. Really? Well, see now, the fourth isn't going to be Tom, so I say Tom Bob. You'd be surprised how many Toms and Bobs.
Okay.
Please join me as we light the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning,
in celebration of the life we share together.
that was beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm the pastoral minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. Welcome. Those of you who are members here and you gather on a regular basis, you know what's in this place. You know the community, the love, the compassion, and the dignity that we offer each of you. And as well, those of you who have dared to come into our congregation, either as a first-time, second-time person, you should know that you are in a place where you are safe and loved and find a community that will be particularly unique and meaningful to each of you. We value the same things, we move in the same direction, and ultimately to value the dignity and honor of all life and to be able to bring that into our presence where we make that difference. And so welcome. A couple things that I want to bring to your attention early on. First of all, those of you who know George and Cheryl Canick, they're sharing COVID with each other.
Oh.
So please be thinking about them and just wish them well as they move through their Paxlovid time. There will be no talk back today. I want to draw your attention to that, so take note. And there's a few other things that I want to draw to your attention in your bulletin. In the insert, there's the congregational road trip, November 2nd to the International African American Museum in Charleston. You see all the information there, that there's a deadline to sign up, which is August 1st. Please take the time to join us with that. I think that'd be a fabulous opportunity, but we do need a minimum of 35 people. You also see on July 30th, Tarot and Tea Meetup, a mystical gathering for all levels of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. It's an opportunity to get in touch with your inner druid. Our July theme is gratitude, and we express our hearts in that. This morning, of course, you see that Ashley Trexler will be speaking. David and Hayago will be speaking next Sunday. David and Hayago, if you would wave your arms, they're back there waving their arms. There should be a dog close by. There is, okay. If you find the couple with a dog, then that's the one that's going to be speaking next week. And then somebody else talks on the 21st. The 28th, Dr. Jones will be bringing his message then too. Are there any other announcements? Let's introduce first or second time visitors. If you're willing, I would love for you to stand where you are and introduce yourself as and tell us where you're from, that we might be able to acknowledge you. So they're on my far right, your far left, in that section. Any first or second time visitors that are willing? In the center section? Oh, thank you, sir. If you would, please.
Hi, my name is Bruce Anderson. I'm from Tallahassee, and I'm here visiting Evie.
Welcome. Good to have you here with us. Thank you. Ashley Trexler curates an award-winning website that debunks parenting myths and promotes healthier, happier childhoods. Despite neighborhood kids' insistence that she's a witch, she persistently pursues her mission. Her writings have appeared in publications globally, from the Washington Post to the New Zealand Herald. When not homeschooling her daughter, Ashley can be found engaging in various pursuits, from making websites, magical, to meditating, crafting, tinctures, and gardening. And we welcome our resident witch, Ashley.
How is that? Good. Since ancient times, humans have been storytellers. Mothers use stories to encourage certain behaviors, discourage others. Stories, in every medium, can educate and entertain us, but they also can shape our actions and our beliefs. I'm Ashley Trexler, founder of the website Lies About Parenting and a member of this congregation. Today, I want to share a few lessons that I've gathered over the past decade. But rather than lecture on parenting tips to this congregation, many of whom have raised children far older and more successful than I hope you will consider these stories from the perspective of self-parenting. These lessons, both ancient and modern, have helped me navigate our complex world with a little bit more hopefulness and gratitude. I trust that will help you a little too. Because we all know what we need to be doing. We need to be more exercise, less stress, more sleep, less scrolling. But it doesn't seem to be helping, does it? The Kaiser Foundation reports that over 1 in 3 people in the United States now suffer from depression or anxiety. So what if the key to realigning ourselves with our best interests in a world that is constantly demanding more lies in the oldest and simplest of traditions? A Native American proverb I came across in Sean B. Carroll's The Story of Life biology book maybe says it best. Tell me a fact, and I'll learn. Tell me the truth, and I'll believe. But tell me a story, and it will live in my heart forever. And now, because I remembered, please open your hymnals and stand if you are willing and able to number 68.
First of all, we'd like to thank all of you that brought contributions for the Sandalwood Food Pantry and Bluffton Self-Help today, and we encourage your contributions every Sunday. This is the time when we will give our offerings from our own abundance to support our faith community, the work that it does inside these walls and beyond. So if you are a visitor, please let the basket pass. Your presence here is our gift today. Thank you. We're grateful for your contributions.
This is the time in our service when we share our joys and concerns. In sharing our joys, we can celebrate with each other, and in voicing our concerns, we can find the support to help lighten our burdens. If you have a joy or concern, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, give us your name, and briefly share a joy and or concern. Then place your stone in the cairn. Please, no announcements or political statements at this time.
Hello, my name is Kat Duncan. I have a joy that it might be on the verge of an announcement. I'm very sorry, but I am just very happy and proud of my husband. He started his own private catering company, and the joy is really about that he's been working on this for a long time, and I'm very proud of him, and I can't wait to see how he grows in his business. So.
Hi, I'm Joanne. The other day, I called a friend from New York. Now, this friend was a member for many, many years at our UU congregation there. She was in a leadership role. She was in charge of the pumpkin patch and the Victorian tea and the kids' camp and everything. She was involved in everything. Now, I've tried to reach her a few times over the last year, and I wasn't able to. And we finally touched base. And she picked up the phone, and I was like, "Hi." And it was silence. Now, she has always recognized my voice, no matter how long between our conversations. This is my friend Patsy. Patsy is now living at her son's house. She has cancer. One of the medications she is taking gave her dementia. And it was so hard to talk to her. And I finally got her son to call me back and tell me what was going on. But this was like one of the most vital people in that congregation. And now she's living on his couch. And it just breaks my heart.
Hi, I'm Val Bridges. Yesterday I lost someone very special to me who I'd known for 26 years. Many of you know I'm very involved in Al-Anon, and she was, as the terminology is, my grand sponsor for 26 years and helped hundreds, if not thousands, of mostly women with their family struggle with alcoholism. And so she passed away yesterday after a 3-year battle with cancer. And so my prayers are with her family and all of us that consider her family.
I have two joys.
I have two joys.
I called Lynn yesterday, and you know that Gordon's older dog, scratched his toe, and he got very infected. I never realized how dangerous it is when you get infections like that. And he had to go back in, and then he got treatments, and he's home now. And she looked at it and said it's looking better, and so forth. And if it doesn't, then he has to go in there for a full treatment for something. So this is for Gordon, but this is for Lynn, who's really working very hard. But that was good news that he's okay. And he's stubborn. He has to keep his foot up, elevated all the time, and of course he doesn't. So this is why this is for her too.
Hi,
Hi, some of you know my mom passed away just a little more than a week ago, and she had been in hospice for 3 years, so over 3 years. So it wasn't totally unexpected, but it still was unexpected. And I just want to thank the people in this congregation for all the cards and texts and support. It really makes a really big difference, and thank you all.
I will now place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain unspoken. And now if you will turn to the back of your hymnal to affirmation number 457, where we can read together. I am only one, but still I am one.
I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do.
Words are powerful when they're told as stories. Picture me, 10 years younger, with fewer wrinkles, pushing a stroller under the tall pines of the forest preserve. What do you see? A smiling new mom with a gurgling, happy baby? I wish. What you would have seen on that fall day was a stressed-out mom pushing a stroller with one hand while firing a client over the phone with her other. Not quite what you had pictured in your head, right? I always wanted to be a writer, but after that day, I ventured into something called blogging, because if it didn't work out, well, it was just a hobby and everyone was doing it. The first piece of writing I submitted was published by the Washington Post and was titled 8 Ways You Might Be Raising a Bully. You might assume I wrote that article to encourage parents to raise kinder kids, but I really wrote it to highlight what I saw too much of in myself and other parents around me. Our gossipy, overscheduled, overdriven lives were ruining our own, and by default, our children's. By couching the lessons in what's best for our kids, I wanted to convey the lessons I hoped to share without having parents turn around and run the other way. At that time, way back in 2014, what mattered was going viral. The article did go viral, bringing offers to write for other websites and invitations to appear on some new thing called a podcast. But one offer stood out. A popular primetime Canadian broadcasting channel radio station requested I join them for a live in-studio session in Toronto. I went, chatted with the host, and we started to take calls. A dad calls in, his voice unsteady with unshed tears, asking what to do because his daughter was being bullied at school and the school wouldn't help. I started to answer. I started to say what he should do, and I froze. Because what business did I, the mom of a toddler, have telling a middle school child's father what to do about bullying? I had no idea. So instead, in an epic failure, I mumbled something about using the resources at his disposal and getting a therapist if he could afford one. In that moment, I realized I had no business telling a worried father what he should do, and the power our words hold become much clearer. And I honestly think I crafted a perfect storm of a talk today. I'm not sure how you stand up in front of an audience with no real expertise other than paying attention to other people's stories and proceed to inform them about what they should and should not do to deal with our crazy world. But wait, that's it. The word should is where we'll start. The should I used on that father all those years ago, and the shoulds used on you, me, and all of those around us. I should be richer, thinner, humbler, stronger. I should volunteer more. I should not be jaded, tired, or compassion fatigued. I should stand up to white Christian nationalists, and I should starve before I eat at Chick-fil-A or shop at Hobby Lobby. The word should comes from the first and third person form of an Old English word which I am about to butcher, shulon, and it might be school on, we couldn't figure it out, meaning have to or to owe. Should is also the future tense of the word shall. I shall abstain from another glass of wine. I shall donate to this good cause because I can afford to. Shall has a nice ring to it, right? But switch shall to should, and what do you have now? You have a guilty weight. You have a burden. I should not have another helping of dessert. I should find more time to get in shape. Harvard Business School notes the word should as demotivating and obligating, and isn't it though? So I shall continue to try avoiding using the word should, noting when I fail, like when I tell my daughter she should spend more time outside. But let's head outside now, into nature and away from the walls that shame and guilt of should builds around us. Picture a white-haired grandmother, apron around her waist, stepping barefoot away from the warmth of her family's kitchen and onto snow-covered stones outside her cottage door in the early morning light. It's a nice picture. Her daughter asks her why she steps outside barefoot every morning, no matter the weather. It's tradition, she replies. My mother and all the women before us touch the earth every morning to honor nature and her rhythms. Ooh, sorry. Imagine yourself slipping your shoes off as you leave here today, holding your socks in your hands, your shoes, as you find a small patch of grass or earth to stand on outside. This is actually called grounding, a method that has ancient roots and a modern practice. Grounding is when you reconnect to the earth through skin contact. Studies are small in number, but indicate numerous health benefits are possible. Loving the practice, I'm now the weird mom who routinely tells kids to go hug a tree, or if they're acting particularly wild, go get on the ground. I'm the mom who likes to honor the pagan seasonal holidays, harvest lichen for tinctures, and demanded that the colony of bats stay in the eave of my home until the babies had flown. The neighborhood kids will drag me out to see the mushrooms that they've found. Then again, everyone, like Charlie said, is also convinced I'm a witch, which, given the baby bats were preceded by a flood of frogs out front and a black cat out back, is understandable. But isn't it worrying that a woman tuning into nature a little bit more these days is considered witchy? Avery, my brother, bought me a new broom, but I am the older sister, so being witchy goes with that territory. So whether it's the science of grounding or the psychology of nature making us happier, does it really matter? Connecting with the earth makes kids feel better. Maybe we need to touch the earth more too. But now let's head back inside and let's talk about a little boy. There once was a blonde-haired boy who lived in a big, beautiful home. This boy was the picture of privilege, surrounded by all the things a little boy could ever want. But as we know, there's always more to this story. The little boy, curious, loving, kind, as all little boys are, attracts the attention of his father. But the attention was not the good kind. His days are filled with paternal rantings and raging. He learned there are two types of people in this world, the killers and the killed. He was reprimanded, mocked, belittled, and dismissed. Can you imagine, I know I can, this sweet little boy crying himself to sleep every night, lonely, lost in a faraway bed, too far from his parents who couldn't be nicer to him. This little boy's mother then disappears for over a year due to an illness. He's only 2.5. Age attracts more of his father's attention, but he grows up, as all little boys do, and he chooses to become a killer instead of the killed, by bullying his way to dominance and far away from the possibility of ever making a real friend. His father helped make him what he became. It's a horrible story, right? I hope for a happy ending, but this ending hasn't actually been written yet. This particular story also affects each and every one of us in this room on a daily basis, because that belittled, bullied boy who modeled himself after his father as a form of self-preservation is actually former President Donald Trump. So what if, just for a few moments, we stopped gasping and raging and hating And instead, we looked for a little bit of empathy for that little boy living inside our broken and, yes, horrible president. But what if instead of shouting, we practiced what Neil introduced us to during a sermon a few weeks ago? In opposition, I hold this hand up to say stop, but my other hand always welcomes you in. I say no to racism, your elitism, your authoritarianism, but I do say yes to your humanity and the little boy who still lives inside you that just wanted your parents to love you. And if you're rolling your eyes right now, I, one, understand, and two, you're not alone. My 11-year-old daughter is the first to roll her eyes when I trot out these lines far too often about how even Donald Trump was just a scared little boy treated badly. And we have to remember that his actions grew out of fear, not passion. Does the sad history make the bad actions okay? Of course not. For me, the moral of this story is that fear brings out the worst in humanity. And as we parent ourselves, perhaps it is worth exploring how our own fears affect our view of the world. So maybe, just maybe, the next time you're talking to your MAGA-loving neighbor or yelling at a clip of Fox News, you can take a moment to feel that person's fear instead of their ignorance. One way to practice this empathy is by using the Buddhist loving-kindness meditation. Studies around the world show that this meditative practice of sending love and compassion to yourself and to others increases happiness and decreases everything from high blood pressure to bias. Just a few weeks of practice is enough to alter the way we think. If only we could get the Supreme Court majority to practice some meditation, but in the meantime, I will trust that sending more love out into the world is always better than less. A couple of years into my online writing career, I accepted an assignment to write for a mental health magazine about how I cured my depression by deciding to get better. All very true, but with far more layers of struggle than any 1,200-word article could ever accurately portray. The publisher sent it off into the world, and I deposited my paycheck. In my ignorance, I believed myself to be empathizing with the plight of millions of people and offering a tiny bit of hope to whomever might read what I wrote. But then the calls started coming in. The saddest people, done battling their depression, pleading and wondering how I got better and why wasn't it working for them. Voicemails begging for clues to solve the puzzle of happiness. Answers I definitely didn't have. But the voicemails continued, at first every few weeks, and then for years, every few months, for years afterwards. Interestingly, it was always men who called. These men were so lonely and so cut off and so desperate for an answer that they would track down a stranger's phone number and call quietly in the middle of the night just to plead for help. Was I able to help them? I wish I could say yes, but no, and it was heartbreaking. I tried at first tracking a phone number to New York City and calling the police. But the police weren't interested in a stranger calling someone in the middle of the night because he was sad and read a magazine article. I hope that has changed. For my own mental health, talking to these men was not an option. I turned to texting responses with suicide prevention lines and best wishes, which is nothing, but at least it was something. The lesson here is that glossing over our struggles and presenting these perfectly polished versions of ourselves to the world is backfiring badly. Words, when they resonate, are good stories that can then become actions. Some stories, like exploring the way we may be unintentional bullies through our gossiping and judgment, are good, actionable steps in the right direction. And these experiences also change the way I look at writing. We can all act like experts, but when a life is at stake, we shall turn to real experts for advice, right? We need to research more. We need to find the person who knows the most. But what happens when the expert isn't right? What happens, for instance, when a guy declares to the Western world that babies should sleep away from their mothers, and the world agrees? What if the experts aren't always right? When I brought my daughter home from the hospital as a newborn, I was told to get her out of our bedroom as quickly as possible. I tried, but hearing her cry and me being unable to sleep with worry wasn't working for anyone. But it did make me wonder, what made the experts so expert? Fast forward a few months, and I am lucky enough to have my own Mary Poppins helping our daughter while I worked from home. One day, Nanny, as she liked to be called, informs me that my daughter is getting too sick too often. It's not good, she says, not normal. I laughed it off and told her to stop overthinking it. Kids get sick, right? But the months were marked by an ever-increasing number of fevers and symptoms of what looked like strep throat. I did the rounds, visiting every ER in the area and being told it was just a virus, but better give her antibiotics just in case. No one wants to get sued, after all. In my gut, though, I knew something was off. So I turned to who else? My mom. And she mentioned it sounded like an autoinflammatory syndrome she had heard about recently called PFAPA. I won't bore you with the details, but in a nutshell, the body mounts a response to an illness that doesn't actually exist. So you get sick, even though you're not sick. Crazy, right? This PFAPA seemed like it might be a possible fit. We made the rounds of doctors throughout the region, carting my notebook filled with blood work reports, temperatures, and symptom trackers. One doctor, an expert in autoimmune, which is a similar subject, disorders, accused me of having Munchausen's, a psychological disorder where the parents create fake illnesses in their children. No, but still, I knew something was not right. The cycle of fevers continued, and by the age of 4, my daughter's fevers reached 107 every couple of weeks or so, often lasting for days at a time. But there had to be something we could do. I'm not the person to give up. So rather than turning to Dr. Google, or yet another expert pediatrician, I turned to the next expert, Facebook. Don't judge. I was desperate. But there, I found a private group of parents who had formed an alliance to provide resources and support for families fighting these autoinflammatory syndromes. Our case was so mild compared to some of them, but they still recommended we make the trek to Boston Children's Hospital to see one Dr. Hausman, a pediatric autoinflammatory specialist and one of 2 leading experts in the world at the time. As luck would have it, Obamacare made it possible. And there, exhausted and with 150 pages of tracking records by that time, Dr. Hausman looked me in the eye and said, "You're right. It is an autoinflammatory syndrome. Very real and very scary, but ultimately not life-threatening. She'll likely grow out of it by adulthood." While we were talking, I was relieved, obviously. I did mention a small symptom that he had not heard of before. He made a note of it, and then he said something I'll never forget. "When it comes to rare diseases, I find the parents are often truly the experts, not the children." He enrolled her in a study to learn more about the nature of these little-known syndromes, and life moved on. But another important lesson was learned that day. The experts, the ones to trust, are always open to learning more. And in my perhaps not finest moment, I delighted in sending an email informing our Munchausen-accusing doctor expert of how very wrong she was. Growing up, I was told that the society we live in is good for us. Doctors save lives, wars make peace, men make history. History is written by the victors, so the saying goes. But it's not exactly shaping up to be an award-winning season here, is it? So maybe we need to look for a different type of expert. So let's head to a group of experts in China, living in a small society near the border of Tibet. Around the edge of Lugu Lake, a woman runs a household full of children and men. At the end of her day, spent running the family business, she readies herself for bed. She allows her partner to walk from his home to hers to spend the night. The only rule is that he must be out of her bed and home before dawn. For any of you who sleep with snorers, this sounds like heaven, right? The Masuo people are a matriarchal society. Histories and inheritances are passed down through the mother's family. Women run the politics, industries, and families. There is no formal marriage, only what's known as a walking marriage, where the men may walk to the woman's house, only with her permission, and must be home by dawn. This practice causes a woman's children to remain in her home no matter what. Fathers are involved in their children's lives, but family lives do not revolve around the father. And by all accounts, it works really well. The World Economic Forum reports on findings from the University of New Mexico, where a team of researchers compared inflammation markers and blood pressure in the Masuo Society and comparable patriarchal societies. While a small sampling, what they found was this: the more autonomy women are granted, the better everyone's health becomes. So maybe listening to your mom really is the key to health and happiness. So as a mom, let me finish by giving you a quick checklist of some ways to realign your lives with yourselves. Number 1, choose shall over should. Number 2, please get outside and take your shoes off. Number 3, try and love the child hiding inside of everyone. Number 4, show, don't hide your imperfections. Number 5, trust the experts who are willing to admit what they do not know. And finally, lucky number 6, always listen to your mother. Thank you.
First, thank you, Ashley, for a well thought out and expertly delivered message. Most of you are going to want her manuscript. It's right here. I'll be happy to share it with you. So if you would please take your hymnals in your hands, turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 21. Stand and sing together, if you will, and are able, for the beauty of the earth. taking a dare and coming and being a part of us today. I hope it's been meaningful to you. It's been a joy to have you here. And for Gordon and for the Canucks, know that we will continue to be holding you in the light, asking for strength to be upon strength in your heart and in your life. David, John, thank you for your leadership here, and this service is all you make it happen, and it wouldn't if you weren't, so we appreciate that. And Ashley, my goodness, thank you so much for your heart and for your bright light here in this congregation. Your closing words, please.
Thank you. For much of my life, this story has been one of trying to fit in. This group is me, this clothing style is me, this hairstyle is me, this job, hobby, whatever ladder I'm trying to climb, is finally going to be the real me. For a school yearbook, I was once voted most likely to be a jet setter and least likely to have children. I now run a parenting blog. They were half right at least. I am jetting off to England at the end of the month, but as any of my friends and readers will tell you, I love being a parent. So with a little bit of age, I'd like to think little, comes a hopeful belief that perhaps the greatest lesson we can parent ourselves with is that our words become our actions become our stories, and our stories create our reality. Wouldn't we all rather work our words into aligned actions that create stories worth sharing? The cycles of our stories demand that we honor our ancient wisdom and acknowledge the depth of all we do not know about our modern lives. We must reach for the stories that have sustained humanity, stories of trust, acceptance, openness, and wonderment. It's hard to do, especially today, but I have found solace in a simple meditation from A Course in Miracles. Love will immediately enter into any mind that truly wants it, but it must want it truly. So today, I ask you to please join me in striving to live a little bit more like children, with our feet on the earth and our hearts open to all, aligning ourselves with our true childlike selves in this insatiable world. Hope and love are inside every child for a very good reason. Thank you.
Please stand if you are willing and able, and join me as we extinguish the chalice. The words are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
She's got
Hello?